Aloha and good morning. Welcome to the House Committee on Tourism. It is Thursday, February 1st, 2024, 10:30 a.m. in room 423. First bill on our agenda today is HB 2246, relating to the State Foundation, Culture and the Arts. First up, we have Karen Ewald, our Executive Director, who I believe is zooming in because...
You're here,
oh, I didn't see you,
too.
sorry. How's the leg?
It's pretty swollen, but I'm good.
Okay.
I'm glad that we're together.
Okay.
Anyway, Karen Ewald, State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, we stand on our testimony.
Great, thank you very much. Next we have HTA with comments.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Ilihia Johnson, Public Affairs Officer at the Hawaii Tourism Authority. We stand on our written comments and also want to introduce, we have in here with me Tyler Yokepo Gomes, Chief Administrator of Kilohana, the program of the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. That is our contractor that helps manage all of our community programs, and we're here for any questions you might have. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next we have Luann Mahiki Langford Favorito in opposition, and Kenneth Favorito also in opposition. Members, questions?
I have a question
Please.
for Hawaii Tourism Authority.
Aloha.
I wanted to find out how many staff do you use to carry out the grant program, the cultural grant programs?
So our destination stewardship operation, currently headed by Kalani. He has 2 brand managers with him there, and they also help manage the Kilohana contract. Tyler, how many team members do you have working on this?
And 4 with the intent to increase by 4 or 5, so it's about 9.
Okay, so currently 4 at Kilohana with the intent to increase that by 4 or 5 more, as well as our HTA team.
Okay.
And attached to our testimony, you had the listing
Right.
of our 163 awardees for 2024.
Right.
Thanks for that, by the way. That was very helpful.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to also understand, some of the projects that are on this list to see if you can slightly describe what the nexus to tourism is. I know there's been some concern about these programs that may not have, so I just wanted to see what are the impacts and the connection between tourism and these cultural organizations.
Sure, mahalo for that. Any particular bucket you wanted to pick from, or shall I just pick a few?
Just pick a few. Yeah.
Sure. So looking at the Kahu'aina program, which talks about natural resource stewardship, when we think about the mindful traveler that we are targeting to come to the Hawaiian Islands, they value the opportunity to go participate in volunteer activities. And so many of these programs integrate volunteer opportunities into their work. If we slide over to the Kukuluola program, which enhances, strengthens, and perpetuates Hawaiian culture through genuine experiences for residents and visitors. Again, lots of opportunities for volunteer work, as well as things to go see, things to go do. The signature events, of course, we look for events that are valued and cherished by Kama'aina, but are also, some people plan their trips around some of these signature events to make sure that they're here and can enjoy them year after year. Hope that helps.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to extend, my apologies for forgetting, our interim president and CEO, Daniel Naho'opi'i, is in another meeting that is running a little bit long, but he's going to be here as soon as he can. Mahalo.
For the State Foundation. Aloha, thank you for being
Good
here.
morning.
In your testimony, it notes that additional staff would be necessary to administer and monitor the grants. So, how many more staff do you think you have, and how many staff do you guys currently have?
We currently have 19 staff, but to administer our grants program, we have 2.5 full-time employees. That's to administer about 1.5 million in grants. So we would say that an additional staff member would be ideal to basically do the monitoring, the on-the-ground monitoring, which we do not have currently. Does that answer your
So
question?
one additional staff to monitor, what about to
Like field coordinator, I should say, yeah.
what about like the selection process and all those things going forward? Would one person be enough for that?
I believe so. We have, because it's outlined in our Chapter 9 statutes, that we do have a process in place, and we've had this process in place for since our inception. It's a pretty robust process, and we adhere to it with every grant program. So we do with our folk and traditional program, our community grants, not just with culture grants, but even with the artists in the schools education grants that we do. Yeah.
So you have 19 staff. What are you guys fully staffed? Are you guys? I know not too many departments have a complete.
Yeah, we're almost fully staffed, thank goodness. We just have 2 people starting Monday, which is great, but we do have 3 vacancies with 89-day hires in those positions right now, and we're really hoping to fill as soon as we can. Yeah, we're waiting for DHERD. Yes.
And in the past, there have been some concern that the State Foundation on culture and arts kind of doesn't focus on the host culture.
Yeah.
And so has there been any improvements made? Is there any focus that you guys have specifically on the Hawaiian culture?
There have been, and I'd like to say we've made drastic mindful improvements in the last few years to turn that keel, because I will definitely admit that the State Foundation was built to exclude, and by including Native Hawaiian host cultures, we did take mindful efforts to do that. We just with the grants program, our folk and traditional, it's very robust with the support of Native Hawaiians and other cultures for that matter. But we have increased our contracting and acquisition of works of art for Native Hawaiians by 7-8%. I'm not going to say that we're all there yet, and we're good to go. I think that we still have a long way to go, but it's been a real mindful effort on our part. And I'd love to talk further about that too. Just
Thank you.
Yes, I'm tagging on to Representative Holt. How would this impact you? Well, one, are you working on a strategic plan or action plan, as the new leadership? And then how will this kind of be incorporated as part of your, because this is going to be a huge, I guess, part of your work. And then on the staffing side, if you've been able to think through measuring impact and, how these funded grants will contribute towards the strategy and the goals, but also will you have enough staffing to conduct, evaluation, look at different measures to demonstrate impact?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I say it would be ideal to have a field coordinator position. And to go back to your question on strategic planning, we are actually in the middle of developing our strategic plan with the Board of Commissioners and the community. Actually, the survey is being finalized now for that. And grants, since our inception, like I said, grants, we have the framework in place to distribute grants. We have, that's basically how we were founded. But monitoring and ensuring the quality, that's where I would want the positions to be mostly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, just the movement of this program is going to be a huge area of growth in terms of community impact and how we're changing and improving our different various communities and the interaction. And so it will affect kind of the overall vision and direction, I believe, for State Foundation.
Yes, and I do want to say that our last strategic plan, and I'm very certain our future strategic plan, because we are the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts to perpetuate culture throughout the state of Hawaii, it would have, the grants has always been a major focus of ours too. So, if the legislation deems that we would take this program on, we do have the capacity to do it. We would just want added positions, for sure.
Thank you. Mahalo, Chair.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you guys feel about sort of a standing selection committee for these grants?
That could, I'm open to that. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, would that work within the structure
It does.
of your existing
Yeah, because
organization?
to review grants, it's always peer review panels. It's always community-based decision-making that we do. So,
But you're doing it under
we do
42F, not 103D.
yeah, 42F, yeah. And we have, I mean, I even printed out the process that we have under Chapter 9. It's extensive. But yes, everything that we make decisions on, it's not us, it's peer review and community.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be
Okay.
open to that.
Rep. Nakamura.
This is the question for HTA. So there are currently 5 different grant programs that total 7.5 million in awards. And I'm wondering which one of these are the cultural portions of that
Mahalo for the question.
bigger picture?
That's one bit of clarity that we would appreciate from the committee as you consider this measure. There's culture woven into most things that we do because the Hawaiian culture is such an integral part of the Hawaii brand.
Right, but the kahuaina is natural resources. Do you consider that cultural program that would be moved to culture, State Foundation of Culture and the Arts?
I think we need to have some conversations about that and how to classify more precisely. It is natural resource based, however, most natural resource efforts in the programs that we do have cultural elements to them.
Okay. And then the others, the community-based, again, so you're saying all of these grant programs have a cultural element?
Potentially, it's probably most called out in the Kukuluola program,
Okay.
which is for awardees that enhance, strengthen, and perpetuate Hawaiian culture through genuine experiences for residents and visitors. That's the most directly cultural. And then perhaps the Resort Area Hawaiian Culture Initiative.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mahalo.
Members' questions? Okay, moving on to HB 2735 relating to the Hawaii Tourism Authority. First we have Karen from State Foundation.
I again, State Foundation stands on their testimony.
Thank you very much. Next, we have HTA with comments.
Standing on our written comments and also highlighting that we do have a study in progress to examine the various models of tourism governance so that HTA can return to you all with recommendations for the future of tourism governance informed by models from around the world and across the country. And then also the discussion earlier on the earlier measure.
Our due date is July, I think, right, on that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Mahalo.
We also have Luen Mahiki Langford Favorito in opposition, and Kenneth Favorito, an individual in opposition. Members' questions? All right. And then moving on to the last measure on our agenda today, HB 2778 relating to taxation. First, we have DOTAX with comments.
Chair, Vice Chair, members, Eliza Watson from the Department of Taxation. We stand on our written comments and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next, we have Tax Foundation with comments.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. This is Jay McMillan on behalf of Swami Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted some written comments on the measure, which will stand by our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Grassroot Institute of Hawaii in opposition. Okay. Next, we have Paul Nachtigal in opposition, Penny Lee in opposition, Axel Kratel in opposition.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Chair Quinlan and honored members of the committee. My name is Paul Nachtigal. I'm a long-term retired 78-year-old resident of Kailua and an owner of a condo in Kuilima Estates West on the North Shore. I'm here today to ask for a slight modification in wording of House Bill 2778. Please change the wording from located outside a zoned resort area to outside a zoned resort area or a resort district designated by Honolulu City and County Ordinance 22-7. Kuilima Estates West is a legally designated condominium resort area designated by the city ordinance, but to assist those that reside there, it is zoned A1 residential. Over 70% of us own but do not reside there and are legally renting short term. We pay annual $1,000 to $500 or $500 license fees, 10.5% state TAT, 3% city OTAT, and 4.7 GET on every dollar in the door, on top of a hefty city property tax currently set at over 4 times the residential rate of our neighbors. Excess taxes may well drive us out of business and kill the goose laying the golden tax eggs. Please change the wording.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else want to do it?
Oh, okay, they're here. I'm sorry. Axel Kratel, I hope I pronounced that properly.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Aloha, dear committee. My name is Axel Kratel. I am a farmer and bed and breakfast operator here on the Big Island. If I'm reading this bill correctly, this is going to impose a $25 daily fee on all alternative accommodations in the Big Island, many of them which are outside of resort zones. These accommodations are literally the economic fabric of much of the Big Island, and this would be a huge impact on all the small mom and pop operators who live here and are residents in Hawaii. I understand if you want to go ahead and tax offshore vacation rental operators that operate in those non-resort zones, but I think that if you are taxing local residents with this huge amount of money, this is going to kill our business. Literally speaking, many of these alternative accommodations, bed and breakfasts all over Volcano and Hilo and Hamakua coasts are going to be affected by this bill because it simply calls out any transient accommodation and does not explicitly spell out a unhosted transient vacation rental. So I strongly object to this bill, which is a very oppressive tax that unfairly hits us local operators who live here and are on-site hosting guests outside of resort zones. Much of the resort zones are literally owned by folks who don't live here. Many more alternative accommodations outside of the resort zones are locally owned and operated with a host on site, and they're going to be unfairly penalized by this bill. So I'm speaking out in opposition to this bill as a local resident from the Big Island. And I'm also going to point out that this is going to severely impact a lot of farms who also host guests all over the state in rural areas that are not resort zones. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, next we have Olivia Moronic in opposition.
Hi, yeah, Moronic. Sorry if I sound nervous, I am.
No, take your time, no rush.
All right. But I understand that vacation rentals have been getting a lot of
negative press, and no doubt there's a lot of bad actors. There's a lot of illegal vacation rentals still operating, and there's a lot of mainland investors. But I just wanted to give you a different perspective, like kind of agreeing with Axel there. Vacation rentals are the lifeblood of Volcano Village, where I'm from, and where my parents own vacation rentals, and I've come back from Oahu to learn the business from my parents. They're passing it down to me. And this extra surcharge would mean we'd have to charge 31% tax, which could be the end of our business. I finished my master's on Oahu and didn't pursue any other careers because I wanted to take this over from my parents to let them retire. And just, you know, for the perspective, this has been our entire income since 2008, when my mom was laid off from her job, and it put me through college. I'm sorry. But, yeah. If we don't have short-term vacation rentals in Volcano anymore because they're taxed out of existence, then tourists would have to do day trips from Kona, and probably a lot of the small business here wouldn't get any business. Sorry again, that's about all I have to say. But I'd like you to reconsider maybe carving Big Island out of this bill entirely, or modifying it for out-of-state owners, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, we have another number of other individuals in opposition. Members, questions? Nope. Okay, seeing none, we will recess for decision. Welcome back to decision making on our 10:30 a.m. agenda. First up, we have HB 2246 relating to the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts. What we'd like to do is add 3 full-time positions to State Foundation to help them administer these grants. And so just to briefly explain, obviously 2246 and 2735 sort of go hand in hand, right? We're adding a little bit to State Foundation statutes, we're taking a little bit out of HTA statutes. However, it is my belief, my firm belief, that despite the fact that I am deleting some things from HTA statutes, I've left enough in there that it is broad enough that HTA can most likely continue to issue all of these grants if they chose to do so. I think the more important part is adding the capacity at State Foundation to take some of the burden off of HTA. It is my intent that if we pass both of these measures, that the first measure relating to the State Foundation would take effect July 1 of this year, but the second measure relating to HTA's statutes would not take effect until January 1 of 2026, which is would avoid a lot of unnecessary headaches, I believe. So, anyways, in any case, back to HB 2246. We'd like to add those 3 full-time positions. We're going to make some technical amendments, and we're going to add a standing selection committee, the members of whom shall be comprised of 1 member of HTA, 1 member from the State Arts Commission, 2 cultural practitioners, 1 appointed by the governor, 1 appointed by the Senate President, and 1 appointed by the Speaker for a total of 7, not more than 3 from the from the city and county of Honolulu. And we will be defecting the date and adding an appropriation line for those FTEs. Members, questions, comments, concerns? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members, we're voting on HB 2246. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Holt.
Reservations.
Representative Kong.
For reservations?
Representative LaChica.
Aye.
Representative Lamasao.
Reservations.
Representative Nakamura.
Aye.
Representative Perrick. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, members, and thank you for your indulgence as I attempt something which I don't think has ever been done before, which is never a good thing to do in government. Next up, we have HB 2735 relating to the Hawaii Tourism Authority. I would like to remove the entire first section of the bill that makes reference to a steering committee, as well as the part that changes the CEO into the Chief Tourism Officer. I think we're going to hopefully have a great governance study in July, and I have a lot of faith in this current board, so I'd like to give them the necessary room to operate and make those changes that we feel are necessary. So we'll also be adding back the board language in the bill and modifying the purpose section. However, we will still be striking the board's exemption from supervision of boards and commissions, affecting the date. Members, questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members, voting on HB 2735. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting that all members present, do I hear any reservations? Reservations for Representative Lamasao. Any others? Representative Holt, reservations. Any other reservations? Any members voting no? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, members. Lastly, we have HB 2778. Look, I think this would actually be very difficult to administer, and I have serious concerns about, it strikes me that if we are going to amortize all the NCUs, then I'm not sure who this bill would be taxing in the future. So we've got a lot of measures moving this year, but out of deference to the introducer, and because he's the chair of the next committee, we're going to make some changes and pass it out. So technical amendments, we're going to make sure that it does not make any reference to timeshares, and we are going to add a line on page, pardon me, I left my notes in my office and it will take me too long to walk back and come back. Bill. Okay, page 6, section F, with regard to a transient vacation rental located outside of a resort zone unless they are wholly contained within the grounds of a resort. We'll be adding that line in, which will, I believe, exclude Kuilima and Ko'olina on the island of Oahu from this tax. And affecting the dates. Members, questions, comments, concerns? Representative Burek.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the intent of this bill to basically tax the tourists. I think they should supply a lot of the funds for our state budget. But this bill seems to target people who own homes that are renting out space to tourists, and this bill isn't necessarily affecting large hotels. So I'm more in favor of the governor's bill of taxing all the tourists equally versus singling out the perhaps people who have two homes that are trying to make a profit out of their second home.
Thank you very much. Members, any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members voting on HB 2778, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the presence of all members, do I have any reservations? Representative Kong voting yes with reservations. Any other members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? Representative Parrick voting no. Thank you, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. This hearing is adjourned.